The sleepy town of Harmony Creek was settling into its usual quiet night. Stars twinkled above, casting a soft glow over the peaceful streets. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, their leaves whispering secrets in the darkness. The only sounds that broke the silence were the distant chirping of crickets and the occasional bark of a dog. It was the kind of night that lulled you into a sense of security, a night where nothing out of the ordinary ever seemed to happen. Harmony Creek was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors and doors were often left unlocked. It was a town steeped in tradition and routine, a place where life moved at a slower, more predictable pace. The residents took comfort in the familiar rhythm of their days, finding solace in the unchanging nature of their little corner of the world. But tonight, something was different. An unsettling energy crackled in the air, a subtle shift that hinted at the extraordinary events about to unfold. Alex sat on his porch swing, a steaming mug of coffee warming his hands. He gazed out at the night sky, his mind lost in thought. Something felt off, a prickling sensation on the back of his neck that he couldn't quite place. The usual tranquility of the night seemed strained, replaced by an unfamiliar tension that set his teeth on edge. He took a sip of his coffee, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling gnawing at his gut. He scanned the horizon, his eyes searching for the source of his discomfort. At first he saw nothing unusual, just the familiar silhouette of trees against the starlit sky, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. But then a flicker of light caught his eye. A faint, pulsating glow appeared in the distance, low on the horizon, like a distant beacon against the dark canvas of the night. Alex frowned, his pulse quickening slightly. He couldn't tell what it was, but something about it set him on edge. The pulsating light grew steadily brighter, expanding and contracting like a beating heart. Alex watched in awe and trepidation as it slowly ascended above the horizon, its glow illuminating the previously dark fields. It wasn't a star, and it certainly wasn't a plane. This celestial object moved with a fluidity and grace that defied any conventional explanation. Alex felt a chill crawl down his spine. What he was witnessing was beyond anything he could have imagined. As the object drew nearer, its immense size became terrifyingly clear. It dwarfed the tallest trees, casting long, eerie shadows that danced across the landscape. The pulsating lights intensified, bathing the surroundings in an otherworldly glow that seemed to distort the very fabric of reality. Alex watched, mesmerized and terrified as the object silently glided closer, its smooth metallic surface reflecting the distorted light like a liquid mirror. A low hum began to vibrate through the air, resonating deep within Alex's chest. It bypassed his ears, going straight to his bones, sending shivers down his spine. The air grew heavy, charged with unseen energy, making it difficult to breathe. His heart pounded, mirroring the pulsating lights of the object hovering above his house. Alex felt an overwhelming sense of dread, a primal fear that rooted him to the spot. A beam of intense white light shot down from the center of the object, engulfing Alex in its blinding radiance. He cried out, raising his arms to shield his eyes, but it was too late. The light penetrated his defenses, searing his vision and filling his head with a blinding white noise. His body felt light, as if gravity had lost its hold on him. He tried to call out again, but no sound escaped his lips. Alex felt himself being drawn upwards, pulled inexorably towards the blinding light above. His porch swing, his house, his entire world all shrunk away below him. He was adrift in a sea of light, his body buffeted by unseen forces he couldn't comprehend. Fear, raw and primal, surged through him as he was lifted higher and higher, pulled towards the waiting maw of the unknown. His last conscious thought before everything went black was a desperate prayer for someone, anyone, to see him disappear into the night sky. Alex drifted back to consciousness slowly, as if surfacing from a deep, dreamless sleep. His head throbbed, a dull ache that pulsed in time with the strange humming sound that filled the air. He opened his eyes, squinting against a soft, diffused light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Gone was the familiar comfort of his porch swing, the scent of night-blooming jasmine, the comforting chirping of crickets. He was surrounded by a smooth, metallic surface, cold and sterile, that seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. He tried to sit up, but a strange lethargy held him down, his limbs heavy and unresponsive. Panic welled up inside him, a cold knot of fear that tightened in his chest. Where was he? What had happened? The last thing he remembered was the blinding light, the feeling of weightlessness, the terror that had gripped him as he was lifted off his porch. Now, all that remained was a chilling emptiness, a sense of isolation so profound it stole his breath away. As his vision cleared, Alex realized he was lying on a raised platform, his body bathed in a cool blue light. He tried to move, but his body refused to obey. A wave of dizziness washed over him, and he closed his eyes. Taking slow, deliberate breaths, he forced himself to assess his surroundings. The air was cool and still, devoid of any discernible scent. The only sound was the low hum, a constant rhythmic pulse. Opening his eyes, he dared to look around more closely. A flicker of movement at the edge of his vision made him turn his head sharply. 3 figures stood a few feet away, barely discernible against the muted lighting. They were tall and slender, their skin a pale, almost translucent grey. Their heads were elongated, their eyes large and black. Alex stared, his breath catching in his throat. The beings communicated silently, their thoughts flowing between them. He sensed their curiosity, their clinical detachment, and something deeper that sent a shiver down his spine. One of the beings, taller than the others, approached the table. It moved with a fluid grace, its long limbs gliding effortlessly. Alex tried to shrink back, but he was held fast. The being leaned over him, its large black eyes boring into his essence. Alex felt a cold metallic instrument brush against his skin. He closed his eyes, bracing himself. The instrument traced a line down his arm. He flinched, expecting pain, but there was none. Instead, a strange tingling sensation spread through his limb. The examination had begun, a silent, methodical exploration of his form. The humming intensified, filling the room with anticipation. The cool metal traced a path across Alex's chest, sending shivers down his spine. He wanted to recoil, to scream, but his body remained unresponsive, held captive by unseen forces. The being continued its examination, its touch clinical, detached yet strangely intimate. The instrument, emitting a soft, pulsating glow, moved with a precision that both fascinated and terrified him. It was like a surgeon's scalpel, meticulously exploring the uncharted territory of his body. Fear, cold and sharp, clawed at the edges of his consciousness. He was a specimen laid bare before these unknown entities, his very essence probed and analyzed with cold scientific curiosity. Yet beneath the fear, a flicker of fascination began to stir. What were they looking for? What secrets did his human form hold for these beings from beyond the stars? The pressure in his head intensified, a throbbing sensation that seemed to pull at the edges of his thoughts. Images flashed behind his closed eyelids, fragmented memories, disjointed scenes from his life, as if his mind was being scanned, its contents laid bare before an unseen observer. He saw his childhood home, the smell of his mother's apple pie, the laughter of friends long gone. The images flickered and swirled, a kaleidoscope of sensations and emotions that left him feeling strangely exposed, vulnerable. Was this part of their examination, this delving into the deepest recesses of his mind? Were they searching for something specific, some key to unlock the mysteries of human consciousness? Or was it merely a byproduct of their technology, an unintended consequence of their alien probes? The images shifted, morphing into scenes that sent a fresh wave of fear coursing through him. He saw his house, dark and empty, a single light flickering in the distance. He saw his dog, whining at the back door, its tail between its legs. He saw the faces of his neighbors, etched with concern, their voices a low murmur of confusion and fear. He felt a surge of longing, a desperate need to be back in his own world, surrounded by the familiar and the mundane. But the visions offered no comfort, only a stark reminder of the life he was in danger of losing, the life that was slowly slipping away with every passing moment. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the pressure in his head began to recede. The images faded, replaced by a dull throbbing behind his eyes. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking against the soft blue light. The being, its examination seemingly complete, straightened up, its large black eyes fixed on Alex with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. For a moment, their gazes locked, and Alex felt a strange connection, a flicker of understanding passing between them. It was as if, in that brief instant, he caught a glimpse of something familiar in those alien eyes, a shared sense of wonder, of curiosity, of the vastness and mystery of the universe that bound them together. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the moment was gone. The blue light that had illuminated the examination room slowly dimmed, plunging Alex into an unsettling darkness. The hum that had permeated the alien craft began to fade, replaced by an unnerving silence. He lay there, still strapped to the table, his body heavy with fatigue, alone, adrift in the silent belly of an alien craft, unsure of his fate. When Alex next opened his eyes, he was lying on the damp grass, the familiar scent of dew-kissed earth filling his nostrils. The night sky, a tapestry of twinkling stars, stretched above him, its vastness both comforting and terrifying. He pushed himself up onto his elbows, his head spinning, his body aching as if he had been subjected to some unseen trauma. He was back in his backyard, the porch light casting a warm glow on the familiar surroundings. But something was different, irrevocably changed. The events he had experienced, the beings he had encountered, the probing examination, it all felt impossibly real, burned into his consciousness with a clarity that defied rational explanation. He had been abducted, of that he was certain. Yet how could he convince anyone, even himself, of something so utterly unbelievable? As the days turned into weeks, the memory of that night remained vivid, a haunting reminder of his encounter with the unknown. He searched for logical explanations, for scientific theories that could explain away the inexplicable. Sleep offered no escape, his dreams plagued by fragmented images of cold metal, pulsating lights, and those large black eyes that seemed to see straight through him. He carried the weight of his experience like a secret shame, afraid to confide in anyone, terrified of the disbelief, the ridicule that he knew awaited him. He tried to resume his life, to find solace in the mundane routines of his small-town existence. But the world now seemed different, the familiar suddenly strange, as if he was seeing everything through a distorted lens. He was an outsider, an alien in his own life, forever marked by an experience that set him apart from everyone he knew. Looking up at the night sky, once a source of comfort and wonder, now filled him with a sense of unease. The vastness of space, once a reminder of the infinite possibilities of the universe, now seemed fraught with unseen dangers, teeming with unknown entities that moved among us, unseen, unheard, until the moment they chose to reveal themselves. He knew the truth, a truth that he could never unknow, a truth that whispered in the shadows of his mind, a constant reminder that we are not alone. The experience had changed him, irrevocably altering his perception of reality. He was left with more questions than answers, haunted by the memory of those enigmatic beings and the chilling certainty that somewhere out there, in the vast expanse of the cosmos, they were watching, waiting. The universe, once a silent observer, had whispered its secrets, and Alex, forever changed, would spend the rest of his days listening for its faint, unsettling echo.